It has now been 1 week since the Cleveland Cavaliers were eliminated by the Boston Celtics from the playoffs, and we are yet to get a decision on the future of certain players on this roster and the future of the head coach. So, Bolt, G, Tyvis, I'm curious. By this process delaying as long as it has, the decision's been made or not, are the Cavs in danger of missing out on some top head coaching candidates if this process continues to drag on?
G, what say you?
No. I think they've already done some digging around a little bit. And certain people that might be up for the Lakers job probably ain't going to be up for the Cavs job anyway. The Wizards is still available, but the
Wizards is the Wizards.
They're the Wizards, and the Cavs are better than the Wizards. So that they can get whoever they want out of that pool of people. Yeah. For me, the only thing that I'm worried about is I don't like how it's perceived. Like, you know what I'm saying? One of the things, if I'm Donovan Mitchell, and my thought process was, look, I don't think y'all are very serious about what we're doing right here. We need to be making moves to get better. We need to. What's the plan? What's the game plan here? When you waffle around for a week and a half, 2 weeks, I'm sitting there watching you like, well, you seem very torn, right? You seem very torn on this. Like, you got to really think about something. Ain't nothing to really think about. It's like, like this wasn't good enough. Let's keep it pushing. Let's find another coach. Let's figure out what we're gonna do. I don't understand what the holdup is, but that just goes to show you how indoctrinated stuff be, right? When you get people that be in these positions, and I'm gonna just be clear, that don't know what they're doing. Let's be clear. Like, you know, this should have already been something that they was working throughout the season. Yeah. You make the evaluation. You've had 3-4 years to figure this out. It ain't about this last 2 weeks. They playing around.
Tyvis, what do you think?
I don't think that they're missing out on candidates because I think that if they are going to move on from JB, they've already started the talks with other candidates to let them know, like, hey, we will be moving on from him. We want to gauge your interest. We find you perfect for our candidacy, you know, stuff like that. I think that if they do fire JB, then you'll start seeing guys start to roll in. But I don't think, like, if I'm a top candidate, first of all, if you're looking at L.A., Cleveland, and Washington, the Washington thing, ain't nobody looking at Washington. And L.A., I think L.A. is down to, don't they got like their top two? It's Redick and somebody else, I thought it was.
They've interviewed Sam Cassell. They've talked to J.J. Redick. I'm not sure they've finalized a top 2 or 3 yet. But.
So, like, I feel like for them, they kind of already got – they think it's probably J.J. Redick because they think that's who LeBron wants. So they trying to do whatever they can to please LeBron. But as far as Cleveland goes, I think they already have their pool of coaches that they already want to cycle through. So I don't think that they're going to miss out on any of those things. If it is being a delay on it, then I think that they just – I think what G is mad about is right. I think they might be torn, you know, to the fact that they look at it like – me and Jason said it. Like, they sat there, they went from a play-in team to a first-round team to a second-round team with this same guy. And so it's like every year he's progressed. But the question is, it's kind of like when the Browns had to make the decision on Baker. You got to look at your coach and say, is this the guy that can take us all the way to win it? And that's the question that people don't know. And I don't think they want to be wrong. Because if you got a coach that you feel is good enough, you want to keep that guy around because he's grown and you just believe that he can get it done. But if players is coming out and saying that they've lost faith in him, that there's you can't keep that guy and also keep those players. So you got to make a decision. Do you want to stay with this coach and lose the players, or do you want to keep the players and lose the coach? You're not going to have both. It's just not going to happen.
He's going to try it.
It's not going to happen.
Kobe.
I told you. I said it yesterday. The only way.
Don't do it.
The only way that JB and the core four and everybody come back is if LeBron James say, I'm coming to Cleveland. If that what happens, then boom, it can work. But if that don't happen, it's not. It's just not going to happen.
To me, if JB were back, that means Donovan's gone, that they're trading Donovan. And none of us want to see that happen. I agree with what you guys are saying. I'm not worried about – listen, in the end, it doesn't matter how much time it takes. As you guys have both already talked about, the Lakers, the Cavs, and the Wizards are fishing in 3 different lakes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's totally different candidates. The Cavs are not going to lose a candidate to the Wizards, And the Lakers ultimately can get whoever they want, pretty much, and
It's LA. Like, ain't nobody about to tear down the Lakers
coach
job.
that's got, like, you got to be a certain type of coach to coach LeBron. It's got to be somebody that LeBron can say all he wants. Oh, I'm not involved. Of course he's involved. Of course he's LeBron.
Do you know what LeBron wants, by the way?
What's that?
The Clippers and Ty Lue are at a standstill in contract negotiations.
Yeah, I'm sure LeBron would love to have Ty Lue back.
I think that's who he's really targeting for the next Lakers
Probably
coach.
true. But I'll tell you, there's two candidates to me that I find interesting, because I don't think there's any, like, Mike, your question is, are they going to lose out on the top candidates? I don't know that there are any top candidates.
The only one that they 100% would have considered who's no longer available is Coach Bud Budenholzer, who signed
All
with the
right,
Suns.
but let me give you a couple of candidates, and you tell me what you think. And number one is Kenny Atkinson. Kenny Atkinson has been an assistant coach with Golden State the last few years, so he knows a lot about winning. And remember, he was a coach of that awful Nets team. Remember, they had, like, no talent, and he made them, like, really competitive.
Yeah.
Like
Jarrett
a
Allen was
500
part of that team.
Yeah.
What's that?
Jared Allen was part of that team.
Right, but
Karis LeVert was on that team.
right. That was a team that everybody thought was going to be like the worst team in the NBA, and they ended up being pretty competitive.
Yeah, actually, we had the Nets 8th overall pick, and we thought it was going to be higher, and the Nets screwed
That's
it
right.
all the way up.
That's true. I remember. Right, you're right. Going into that year, we were like, "Oh, the Cavs have a good shot at the first pick."
No,
And
they were feisty.
played-
They were feisty.
Yeah.
Do you want my? I wasn't gonna do this till JB officially got fired, but do you want to see the 6 names I think who are
All right,
absolutely?
but let me give you
running?
one more before you give me the
Atkinson's on the list.
And then I want one more.
Yeah, sure.
I want Hurley from UConn.
Not happening. But he'd be awesome. But
He'd
not
be
happening.
awesome.
That would be great. He's a great coach.
He's a freaking great
He's
coach.
a no-brainer, but I just assumed he wasn't going to leave college. But
He just got a ginormous raise.
Yeah.
I'm talking ginormous raise.
And
But who wants to deal with NIL and all
It's
the
probably not
transfer
as big a
portal?
deal in college because guys leave after one. I mean, sorry, in basketball because guys leave after 1 year anyway.
And he don't recruit them type dudes.
Yeah, he
just be like,
he's a different kind of cat.
be like,
And
I ain't recruiting them.
Tyvus, he's got a job for life there. They're never going to fire him ever.
No, they're not.
In the NBA, no matter how good you coach you are, you can get fired in 2 years if it doesn't work out.
No, Greg Popovich still rolling.
Well, but Greg Popovich had built up his.
Who's
and,
OD?
and speaking of Greg Popovich, that brings you to my second choice, and that's Becky Hammond.
I thought
and
you was gonna say Greg Popovich.
No.
Say, you need to
And
cut
I
it
know
out.
a lot of people are going to roll their eyes. Oh, you just want to hire her because she's a woman.
She got
no,
the
I want to
aces
hire her
rolling.
because she's a badass coach.
Yes, she is.
I'd hire her.
I'd
She
hire
is
her,
a great
too.
coach. She is a freaking winner. Everything she's done, she's been a winner. Now, I can't speak to the Cavs individual players and how they're going to react to a woman. That's obviously a potential roadblock. I do feel like NBA players in general have come a long way, and maybe I'm kidding myself, in terms of open-mindedness. Like, I feel like a lot of NBA players support the WNBA, support the women's players, and what the chemistry would be like for the first time ever with a woman head coach and men players, I don't know. But I will say this. There's no way you can be involved in basketball in any men, women, whatever, and not respect what Becky Hammond has accomplished in the game as a coach, an assistant coach, and a player. She's a winner. She's a great coach. And I guess it's a little outside the box because it would be the first time ever. But I think she'd do a great job.
Didn't she coach some games for the Spurs?
I think in the summer league.
She was their summer league coach for a
Yeah.
little bit.
Well, she got the aces. They can't lose, so they done went back to
Meanwhile,
back.
Indiana hasn't won a game.
They should have won against the Suns. I watched that one.
Yeah.
Aaliyah Boston took the ball like she was Caitlin Clark. I was like, if you don't get the ball out your hand.
By the way, there's real quick before you give the rest, Mike. There's a very funny picture of what's her name, the big girl from
Cardosa and Angel Reese with
with
Cubs
Shota
pitcher.
Imanaga as a pitcher on the Cubs.
Yeah,
And there's a picture of the two of them standing with him because they
he's
threw out the first
short.
pitch of the Cubs game yesterday. He's short for a baseball player. He's a little short. And she's so tall.
Yeah.
It's a funny looking picture. But anyway, go ahead.
All right, so I got we'll dive deeper into this.
Was Becky Hammond on your list?
No, but a different Spurs assistant is.
Okay.
So we'll dive deeper into this when any news becomes official. It's not worth diving super deep into this if they bring back JB. So I'll just give you a list of guys I think make sense if the Cavs decide to move on from JB Bickerstaff. The first one, the other Spurs assistant, not Becky Hammond, James Borrego, who was the head coach for the Charlotte Hornets. It didn't work out in Charlotte. He was a really, really, really highly regarded assistant with the Spurs, was Pop's top guy for about 10 years. In Charlotte, those teams were abysmal. He had him competitive just like Atkinson did in Brooklyn, but I think he's a guy that's going to get a second chance to be a head coach. He didn't fit on the list because I can only put 5 bullet points, but Borrego plus these next 5 are guys I think the Cavs will absolutely circle as candidates to interview. Kenny Atkinson,
Chris Quinn,
who you talked about. Chris Quinn, who played here in Cleveland. He's been Spo's top assistant now for 7 years. He's been on Spo's bench for a decade. He helped utilize and integrate Bam Adebayo into the focal point of their offense, a la Evan Mobley here potentially. Dave Yeager's had 2 head coaching stints. He coached for Memphis and Sacramento. He's been an assistant coach for Doc Rivers in Philadelphia. He was a consultant this year with the Cavs. Him and Dan Gilbert have a little tie, and then he went and joined
old?
No, he's not old.
Okay.
He's not that old. Sam Cassell, who's a superstar coach in terms of superstar players, love Sam Cassell. If you're going to keep Donovan, that could be a guy that he may see as a coach he wants to work with. And then Johnny Bryant was Donovan's guy in Utah. He's now the associate head coach with the Knicks, but he was a player personnel development guy with the Utah Jazz when Donovan was there. They go way back. So I think those 5 plus James Borrego are 6 candidates the Cavs would definitely look at. We'll dive deeper into the pros and cons of each when we have to.
Yeah.
But those are at least 6 names to keep an eye on.
You know what's the crazy part about it is I take any of those guys over what we got now.
Absolutely.
Any of
Who
those
was your other?
I said the dude from Connecticut, Hurley.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So, but
That's right.
but
Yeah,
out of that list, I like Quinn.
Chris Quinn.
Because I need
Columbus.
I need a game plan, man. All this rolling the ball out, running pick and rolls. That's
what I feel. I just want somebody that runs offense. Like I'm sick of to get the ball and just stand to the side and
all
watch.
of this stuff in the league. This is an indictment. All of this, I'm sick and tired of seeing people trying to hunt and peck for pick and rolls and switches. That is not offense. That is, hold on, I got an advantage. Let me switch this pick and roll and go ISO. That is not offense, bro. That is not going to work if you play in the top teams. I hate that offense. Yeah. It's terrible.
Taking somebody from Miami's coaching tree or San Antonio, I know San Antonio hasn't been as good the last few years, certainly, but those are organizations that have done more with less over the years than any other organizations.
Yeah,
I like Yeager
I'd
too.
probably take Chris Quinn because I mean, like I said, he's from Ohio, Columbus, so that could be perfect. I feel like it'd mean a little bit more to. I don't know if he's a Cavs fan or not, but I just
played here.
Yeah, he played here, so I think it'd just mean a little bit more to him. I'm always for a guy that played for the organization or that's from that around where that team is playing at because it just means more.
All right, Mike, what do we got?
If I had to put a Vegas line on who would be the favorite to replace JB if it came to it, Atkinson would be my favorite.
You
Not
never know with
best
Dan
choice.
Gilbert, though. He hires
that's what I'm saying. You don't know.
sometimes.
I'm just guessing, but I think
David Blatt.
Atkinson would be option A
Bring back
for
Blatt.
the Cavs. One last name that I didn't mention, and there's a reason why, but is Frank Vogel, who just got dismissed by the Suns. I think they have to bring in an offensive-minded coach. And Vogel has built his resume and his entire career being a defensive-oriented head coach. I just think they go with an offensive guy when they bring in a new head coach.
Makes
so
sense.
that's why Frank Vogel was an intentional omission from this list.
Okay.
All right, we're going to talk about a different Cavs thing in a sec, whether or not Evan Mobley's worth $260 million. After a quick reminder that this show and all UCSS shows is sponsored by FanDuel. It's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. Visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.